On this week's episode of the RAG podcast, I was joined by Craig Davies, the co-founder of Orbis Consultants. This is a technical recruitment business based headquartered in London, with an office in New York as well. They're 40 consultants. They're growing rapidly with plans to offer solutions outside of just the classic contingent recruitment space. Been going for 6 years, and Craig individually is a guy that he's very impressive. He was a recruiter for 4 years in the UK, went over to Hong Kong with his previous organization, built an office out there, built across Asia, came back and started Orbis. And from day one, they hired 4 or 5 people, and they went for it. They invested money and they went for it, and then they're starting to pay off. It's starting to pay a dividend. A genuinely good guy. I mean, we bounced off each other. I enjoyed every minute of it. I couldn't believe this is an hour and 20 minutes. This is one of the longest episodes because we just chatted about all sorts. But what I got from it was Craig's a man who's all about standards, not compromising on that, but also learning from things that he didn't necessarily love about working for other people and making sure that he's got that balance between high standards but new ways of working, being adaptable, and just making sure people enjoy what they're doing, because it is all about people. So I'm sure you'll enjoy the episode. Without further ado, Craig, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Delighted to have you on the RAG. Have you listened to any of the episodes yet?
I have, yeah. I've done, I think 4 in the last 4 days.
Oh, wow. That is prep.
Yeah. Trying.
That is prep.
I've not done one of these before, so I'm just making sure I get my prep in.
Do you know what? I think at the very beginning, most people said they'd obviously not listen to it because they couldn't have listened to it. And now most of the guests have come a little bit prepared, but 4 in 4 days, I reckon that's a bit of a record.
Yeah. Well, I like podcasts anyway, so if I'm like commuting into town, which is like 45, 50 minutes, that's quite a good time for me, in and out. Or like I said to you a minute ago, like if I can sneak out for a little bit of a run, I can maybe knock out half of it.
Right. Well, I want you to listen to every episode now, mate. You can't give up.
Oh, man.
You're on it.
You just someone is one a week. I don't think I can keep up with that.
Oh, yeah, every week. Well, look, let's kick straight in. So I've given you a little intro, but I always want you for the listeners to just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you're up to.
Yeah, cool. So I'm Craig Davies. I'm co-founder, MD, with my business partner, Wayne Hilditch of Orbis Consultants.
Yep.
Set the business up 6 years ago. Wayne and I first started working together back in 2008, I think.
Classic.
Yeah, old school. We actually knew each other before then.
Really?
Yeah. We met growing up locally together and played football together for a bit. So kind of got to know each other as mates, and then paths crossed again a bit later on when we got into recruitment. I got into it when I was 21.
Right.
I went to college. Didn't really enjoy kind of the studying side of things, frankly speaking. I just wanted to get out there and
So you weren't going to go to university?
No, I'd never really planned to be fair. I went to college because I wasn't really sure at the time. And that just kind of reaffirmed my decision that I didn't really want to go. So
I think there's a very common trend in recruitment that, you don't have to have a degree to be successful.
No, not at all. And I think since then, and certainly over the most recent years, there's been a bit of an acceptance outside of recruitment, like across a lot of industries, in a lot of bigger companies that you don't for many roles. So that was into London at the time. That was I guess what you'd call like a boutique sort of IT and financial services recruitment firm. And I was with that business for 4 years. By the time that I left, Wayne and I had pretty much hired most of the people that were there as grads and trained them up. And between the two of us, most of them were working for us. And it's a pretty successful business, actually, to be fair. It was about 25 people by the time that I left. And getting into recruitment in 2007, that was obviously just before the financial crash in 2008. So it was quite an interesting...
Crazy time.
Yeah, it was. As if it wasn't difficult enough to try and understand how to be a recruiter. Yeah. Like trying to kind of process all the stuff that's going on around you.
So you were 21 in 2007?
Yeah.
So the same... It must be the same year as me.
Yeah.
33.
Just 34, actually.
Right. So just 33. But I was 21. I graduated that year from uni and turned 21. So yeah. All right. I remember that. You were way ahead of me, mate. Bloody hell. I was about 4 stone heavier. I think I don't know what. I just looked a mess. I finished uni without a clue what I was doing. Sounds like you were well ahead.
Well, I don't know. I managed to keep up doing things like playing football, keeping pretty active, playing a lot of football. So I think going out a lot, obviously, as you do at that age, that's just trying to find some kind of balance.
How did you get into recruitment?
Pretty random, actually. I was working completely in a different industry, and a friend of mine worked for this particular company.
Yeah.
I was a Chelsea fan. He was going to, it's probably like an end of season Chelsea-Man United game, I think. And that probably was in 2007. And I think Man United maybe had already won the league, if I remember rightly. Anyway, I had a company car. He said, me and my MD are going. We've got some spare tickets. Do you want to come?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool, why not? Drove up. And because I had the car to drive back again, it just so happened that the MD of that company was on my way home.
Right.
So I gave him a lift and we chatted. Next day, my mate said, he really liked you. You up for coming in for an interview?
Yeah.
So...
was that based in London, was it?
I wasn't based in London at the time. No, I was living out in Essex.
And was the company in London? Or?
No, yeah, company's in London. It was a long time ago. I drove through central London on Sunday and I said to my wife, that building that's just been built used to be a different building. It's the first building that I was in when I was in London, which is St Mary's Axe next to the Gherkin.
I know, I know.
Yeah, it's quite a big kind of...
It's like a church, isn't it?
No, not that building. Like,
the old Aviva building?
No, there's quite a lot going on around there, to be fair. Next to the Gherkin, on that road, there's a building that's gone up opposite a gym called One Rebel, which is it's almost like a bow-shaped building. Yeah. Anyway, that didn't look like that the building that I was in back then. So that was, 12 years ago.
So you did 6 years for someone else? And then
4 years at the time.
Right.
And then I moved to Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so fairly significant move. I'd never gone travelling before, and I think that was maybe like a bit of an itch at the time.
Yeah.
When I was still at 33.6, this initial company, I was going to go over and open a Swiss office for them. I was travelling backwards and forwards, signed up some clients, did some business there across a few different cities, and I quite fancied it. Like quite into
What were you recruiting? Technology?
Yeah, tech. Over there, I guess. As to be expected, like the type of market it was hedge funds, private banks. So that was good, and that gave me a little bit of a taste for it as well. Yeah. I didn't really want to do it at that particular time, and I wanted to go a bit further away, basically. So me and the probably girlfriend at the time, I guess, decided that we were up for it. The sales director for that particular company had left and gone on to be sales director at ICAS, I think. Okay. And then he left and went and set up Par Mason, which is the company that I went to work for. My remit was to go over there and to run Asia, which at the time of me arriving was just Hong Kong. Right. One of the founders had gone over and basically got an office, signed up a client, and they needed someone to go and run it and build it out. So
Hong Kong's crazy.
Oh man, I loved it.
I went there for a stag do a couple of years ago. Well, actually, I took my wife, which is mental, right? So me, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, not even fiance, girlfriend, my business partner, Emma, my best mate, James. We'd left Australia years ago, came back, and then the guys who stayed, English lads, one of them was getting married, so we're going on the way to the wedding, we'll stop off in Hong Kong for a night. It was going to just be like a chilled couple of drinks, 4 of us, my wife with me. And then all the guys in Oz, all 10 of them in Australia were like, oh no, well, let's do the stag there then. But I'd already booked the flights. Yeah. So I went on a stag do with my wife. And it was it was weird.
So it was just the 2 of you that were there?
No, there was like 10 lads and her.
And her, wow.
So she was like, she said, I'll never ever do that again.
It's
non-stop.
Intense place, yeah.
I stayed in Lang Kwai Fung or something.
Yeah.
Is that like the number one crazy spot?
Like in Central, like there's a lot of I worked in financial services then, mainly investment banks, and a lot of them were around that area, and a lot of people tended to live there as well. So there's quite a heavy.
It's like 24 hours, isn't it? It's non-stop.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's quite a heavy expat area there, and it's just all so convenient. Like you could be. My office was in the Centre building, which, if you remember one of the Batman films, it's one of the ones. Okay. If you were to look down on it, it's like a hexagon. It's pretty cool. And I lived like a 5-minute walk away, as did a lot of people. Yeah. So could be like a Tuesday night, best intentions in the world to go home. You walk past and there's a few people just standing outside a bar, and obviously it's
have a drink.
I'll have one, and you get roped in. But it was absolutely amazing. I fortunate enough to meet some incredible people. Experienced quite a lot of success actually.
How did you grow that? Did it go well?
So we started out in Hong Kong. We had a client, it was HSBC at the time, because we were doing so much work with them in London. We also started to do a bit of work with Barclays in Singapore. Right. So whilst building out the Hong Kong team and building out the client base there, I opened an office in Singapore. So literally went over there, picked the office, moved one of the guys from Hong Kong over. Eventually one of the guys from London moved over, hired some local people, got some more clients. So it's like very hands-on, but also very involved in all like the background processes, like figuring out, making sure we've got the right accountant, making sure we've got the decent lease on the building, etc. And then probably about 10 months before I left, I did the same in Shanghai. So basically just spotted a bit of an opportunity. A lot of the companies we were working with at the time, Standard Chartered Bank, Morgan Stanley, HSBC, a lot of these big banks that were doing a lot in the region were looking for an alternative location for what in that region was like a nearshore resource, IT resource. So yeah, Standard Chartered was a place called Tianjin.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it.
Yeah. It was, I mean, at the time, they'd had some like dispensation from like the local authorities, so they didn't have to pay tax for a certain amount of time. So they're on this huge industrial estate where there's nothing other than just their building. So it was pretty grim going up to visit it. But yeah, we chose Shanghai just because it was like the main business district. And
what's that like to open an office?
Shanghai was cool, really cool. Obviously, it's still mainland China and it's still very Chinese, if you like, in terms of like there's not many people that speak English. But yeah, it's the scale of it is
How do you do recruitment
massive.
in China? You must need Chinese staff.
Yeah, we had Chinese staff. Yeah. I managed to find the Chinese lady that's actually working in Singapore that wanted to go back to China. So she went over there to.
But again, even when they're on the phone, you haven't got a clue if they're doing anything good or not.
No, well, do you know what? In some respects, it was easy because we were working with Western clients, if you like American English banks. First and foremost, they had to speak English. Right. So if they didn't, it was kind of a moot point anyway. Right. It was kind of conversation over.
Right. Okay.
So in that respect, it was okay.
So candidates need to speak English, consultants need to speak
100%.
Yeah.
That was the primary focus. Like to the extent we did quite a lot of repatriation. So partly because it was a bit more of an incentive for us on the fees before we actually had the office on the ground. Right. So if there was like a Chinese person that was working in the US that was earning quite good money, but they wanted to go back to China, but it had to be a balance of being paid well, and the upside was that upskill the team, etc., etc. So we had quite a lot of success doing that. So I was only actually there for 2 years.
But you based in Hong Kong and then just flew across keeping everything, all the lights on. And what happened at the end of the 2 years?
Wayne and I decided to set Orbis up. So
you did 4 years in the UK, 2 years in Hong Kong, and then that was when you started planning. And was Wayne still at the company you were at before?
Yeah, so he decided to stay there. He toyed a few times with leaving, and I think got down the road with a couple of companies with regards to going in and maybe doing like sales director roles at their companies, but decided against it. And we'd always spoken about it prior to me going to Hong Kong. But we'd always said, we've got to do this ourselves at some point. So we knew it was going to happen. We just weren't sure when we would do it. Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, it was probably an easier decision for Wayne than it was for me at that time, because me and the missus were having a really good time in Hong Kong. For me, it was really progressive. It was different. And the plan was to do that for a bit longer. But ultimately, Wayne was done there, and I thought, you know what? If I'm going to do it anywhere, we'll do it in London, because we always want that to be the HQ. I had friends that had got involved in businesses or even jobs that paid them really well, and kind of got stuck in Hong Kong or Singapore or in the region. So I always thought it would be a lot easier to go back rather than doing vice versa. True. And that's proved that decision's been vindicated, obviously, after a period of time.
Yeah. So when you decided, did you fly back for that? Is that how it all worked?
Do you know what? Wayne and I, we know each other so well, there wasn't actually a lot of FaceTime during that period. Obviously, if I was coming back to the UK, which is frequently enough, I would obviously meet up and talk about it, but we spent a lot of time on the phone. Yeah. Quite often, like he might call me up during his lunchtime, and it's like, I'm 8 hours ahead, and it's 8 o'clock in the evening, and I might have had a couple of beers. I've got such a clear memory of walking up and down some of the cobbled streets on my phone at the time. It's
an exciting time though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. When I think about it, the amount of time we spent throwing random names around, just trying to think of what to call it.
I've always said that is literally one of the most. I could sell domains for a living. I've got that many I bought. You always think you've cracked it, and then when you actually tell someone else and they go, "That's shit."
Or it just digests a little bit. Like you let it sink in, and you're like, "What? why did we think that was a good idea?
Yeah.
I remember some of them. I think there was we were at one point thinking, maybe we should make it sound quite corporate, right? And you just come up with the 2 random names which make it sound like it's a corporate business that's been around forever.
It works though.
It does work. Yeah.
Last week I had Peter Hart from Austin Fraser on.
Right.
CEO.
Yeah.
He said the main reason they said it was because they wanted a name people would think they knew.
Yeah.
And he said it worked. Within a month, people were like, "Oh yeah, I know, I've heard of you guys." Like,
Yeah.
You have.
Really?
We're 4 weeks old.
Yeah, fun. We'll run with that.
Yeah. I love that, and a lot of people want to sound like they're like law firms, so they can get through in the switchboards.
Yeah.
So where did Orbis come from?
It literally means global in Latin.
Right.
That's
okay.
literally it.
I would have thought every Latin word was taken by a recruitment company now.
That word is taken by other companies. We've come to realise over time.
Really?
And the problem is because it means global in Latin. When we first set the business up, I actually designed our logo on Microsoft Paint. So I literally just got one of those sketchy-looking globes, got a text box, dropped it over half this globe, writ Orbis in it, done. That was our logo for about 2 years, I think. And
didn't hold you back.
No, not at all. But a lot of those Orbis companies that have been around for a long time obviously played on that same theme and still have those logos. I'm like, oh my God, you go through that process of...
Did you just go through Latin words? Is that how you did it?
Among other things.
Yeah.
Just trying to be creative and come up with something cool that one's...
Consultants got you the domain, did it?
Yeah. From a branding perspective, we just refer to it as Orbis most of the time, generally speaking, and it'd be nice to figure out a way to get the domain.
It's a good point, A lot of people ask that question now. To me, is like, how do you name it, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things, if you go like anything now, like .co, like .coms are pretty much gone, unless you've got this weird and wonderful, like everyone does the we are, like we've got weareconnects.com, but even a lot of them are gone now. Like,
really?
Yeah, there's lots of like, so if you want a clean URL, .co is now, like .co is an open...
Just .co.
Just .co, that's still going. Obviously .net, .org, they're pretty much gone now. And then there's .io, there's all these different ones. I think I've seen one called .recruitment, which I don't think anyone's ever going to type in their life.
I'm not sure about that one.
No, but I like the name Orbis. Again, it sounds quite techy, sounds quite space age.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you...
But I'm kind of over the kind of consultants connection bit.
Right.
It's just... But yeah, we work on a little something on the side actually as part of like the broader offering, and we've come up with a name for that that's got .com.
Really?
It's not quite finished yet. Yeah. So.
Oh well, let's hold on to that. We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the start then. So 6 years ago, what month was it when you started?
September. Well, the business started in September.
Yeah.
I came back in October.
Really?
So yeah. So Wayne, along with 4 other guys actually, started. We had Wayne plus 1, 2, 3, 4 other people on day one.
Wow, so you must have had to put some money down to pay for salaries and stuff.
Yeah.
You both put money in the business.
We did, yeah, but we, when we started out, we were all in the office as well together on Liverpool Street, but we're fortunate that we were in the back of a friend's office.
Right.
So we had a deal with them where we didn't have to pay any rent for a year.
Wow.
Which was...
A year?
Yeah.
There was some revenue share or something?
Yeah, kind of. It was a fairly loose agreement at the time, to be fair, and they had the space.
Yeah.
And we got on really well. So that really,
That's awesome.
that really helped us out. Yeah. A lot of people that do it from home or sheds or whatever, and we didn't have to worry about doing that. So to be fair, it was punchy up front, and we put ourselves under pressure, if you like.
Did you take people you knew?
Yeah.
So you had a collective restrictive covenant period then?
Yeah.
So you had to be careful?
Yeah. I was coming back from Hong Kong, and all the stuff I was doing was in region, so it was a bit looser. But to be honest, you always want to, if you've got a good relationship with people you're working with, you always want to be respectful of that, and I think that's
I think so,
reciprocal, yeah.
But so what was the first month like for you? Or when you got back?
By the time
October?
I got back, they'd already done the first deal, which is good. Because we had a
awesome.
couple of clients ready to go, which gave us the confidence to get the guys in straight away. Because we knew these guys well enough that we'd given them the heads up it was happening. So when we did it, we worked it all out and said, right, let's get them in straight away. And fortunately, those guys, one of those guys is running our US office 6 years in. One of those guys is the director of the business. One of them is like an acting FD, and the other one is actually one of our clients. Actually, he was quite young at the time, and he's gone on to do really well. Quite a cool company called Privitar.
Right.
We're doing some work with.
Still work with him?
Yeah. Well, he's only gone there relatively recently, but he left us probably 2.5 years ago, I think, and we're working with him really closely. He's doing well for himself.
So what was it like when you got back? What was the atmosphere like?
Do you know what? It was a bit tougher than I thought it would be to get back into it, even though I'd spent 4 years in London before. 2 years isn't that long, not long enough for people to forget about you anyway.
Had you done any actual deals in Asia, or were you just building people? Like
me? Yeah. I was really hands-on.
You were really?
Yeah. Because we didn't actually have a lot of people,
Right.
so it was maybe 5 or 6 in Singapore. It was only like maybe 3 or 4 in Shanghai. Probably got up to 7 or 8 in Hong Kong.
Right.
And always been really hands-on with clients. Perhaps a bit less so in terms of actually resourcing or delivering candidates, but worked on a few senior roles over there, which is quite cool, like heads of roles, which is always quite nice. You can do a lot of leveraging network. So 6 years ago, guys came in straight away. By the time I got back, we'd done the first deal, which is great. And we just went on from there, really. And that we went into the new year having done enough business to cover the costs. Certainly weren't making a lot of money at that point. And Wayne and I obviously weren't taking a lot of money out of the business.
Were you straight on the phone pitching old clients or anyone that was within Covenant?
Yeah, basically, like we had a couple, like I say, the 2 clients we could work with, so we try and leverage them. So let's see what we can do within these businesses, and they were quite active at the time. Yeah. So it was, we've got this, it's warm, it's active, we've got a bit of pressure, obviously, with the cost of in the business. So let's make the most out of this for the time being, and then going into the new year, kind of really go for it and expand it out.
Did you go for contract books straight away, try and get the contractors out? Because there's always
actually, yeah.
And did you payroll it yourself? Did you use someone else for that?
We payrolled it ourselves, but we set up a financing facility at the time.
What, with the banks?
Yeah.
Right. How many people? A lot of people use the factoring houses like Sonovates and all the rest of it. They seem to do a really good job at paying the money up front or pretty quick. But you negotiated with the bank?
Yeah. So this was with Lloyds, and we're still working with them today.
Really?
Yeah. It's been a pretty good relationship, to be fair. So
you need a pretty big agreement though to grow a contract book fast.
Yeah, fairly big. But we'd worked with them before at a previous company, so I think there was an element of them buying into us a bit as well. Yeah. Albeit still relatively young at the time. So that worked well. So we've always done contract and perm, and even I guess we can come on to talk about the US office, but even going over there, we've done that straight off the bat as well, which I know a lot of companies tend to avoid because financing facilities over there are a lot more difficult to secure. Yeah.
So how did year 1 go? Let's go into detail.
Year 1, okay.
So you got September, October, November, December. So you got 4 months of that. Do you see how to count the months then? That's how my head was so frazzled.
4 for everyone else, 3 for me.
Yeah. But so you've done 3 months, 4 months as a business. You've covered costs. You're going into the next annual year. How did you guys perform that year?
Yeah, we did well. Like we made a bit of money. I think there might have only been 1 month where me and Wayne didn't pay ourselves. That was probably one of the many moments where we kind of, like you hear those stories where you just look across at each other and be like, man, what are we doing? Yeah. I was doing pretty well at the last place I was at. I was earning good money. Prospects are pretty good, but we did well. And the significant thing getting to the end of that year was you feel as though you feel vindicated. 1, for making that upfront decision, but 2, about putting yourselves under pressure with getting the guys in straight away, and just going through that whole cycle, like we were talking earlier, like going through that financial year and getting through the calendar year. So it was good. It gave you that kind of peace of mind that you could kick on and hopefully be one of those companies that make it through the 2-year or 3-year barrier.
So that month where you didn't pay yourselves, what happened?
What happened? We just didn't do so well.
Yeah.
And obviously because we have staff working for us. I know a lot of people maybe would do the first year or at least a fair amount of time, just the founders or the starters or whatever, or get people working on commission only or whatever. We didn't do that. So that was a decision that we were comfortable with, and that was just one of the consequences, which relatively speaking is fairly insignificant. I mean, it's easy to say now, obviously, isn't it? But
I think you've done it very differently than a lot of others. Obviously, everyone's got their own risk appetite. And how much cash did you put into the business?
50k each at the time.
So there's a fair whack going in there. Yeah. Which you don't need to do that. You can just have enough to live and buy a laptop. So you guys went for it, and that'll show. So how many people did you finish that first year with?
First year, I think must have been only 7 or 8.
Right, so 7 grew a little bit, and that was it.
Yeah, exactly. Because we had that core team. We believed in those people. They believed in us, so that was great up front. And yeah, we wanted to really kind of make the most of that. Before.
What was the culture like?
It was good. Do you know what? At times it's probably a bit too what's the best way to put it? Like we worked hard, obviously, as you have to, and as I always have done. But we wanted to also do things in the right sort of way. So it's very much like values led from the beginning. And I know a lot of people say that, but the way that we work and the way that people work that came into the business that we took at the time, work in a very kind of engagement led, client relationship driven, candidate relationship driven way, and really work on the values of how you manage a process and how you engage people. So not compromising on that. What started to form the basis of the culture that we've still got today, which we've managed to maintain.
Did you try and treat it as a bigger business from in that year, or did you live it like a startup where it's, you know?
Do you know what? We probably did treat it a bit more as though we're probably a bit too established. Maybe not having as much control over like taking clients for drinks or like looking after the guys and still doing lunch clubs and stuff like that. Which, I mean, to be fair, they wouldn't have necessarily cared whether we did that or not, because they were part of this journey that we were going on. They bought into that, which is great. Yeah, we were still young. Like Wayne and I were
28, 29, whatever.
27, I think, when we set it up. So pre-kids and pre me being married and kind of almost like in inverted commas settling down, if you like.
Yeah, so you and your girlfriend came back at the same time.
No, we didn't actually. So that was a bit of a challenge for me, because I come back when I went out to Hong Kong. She stayed for 3 months before coming over, and that was just to check whether Hong Kong was going to work.
Really?
Yeah, but coming back, it wasn't so much checking whether Orbis was going to work. It was more she was working for a bank at the time, and she was looking to get an international relocation back. So she just had to stay for a bit longer.
How was that?
It was good. She managed to get it, which was good. They put us up in an apartment in Canary Wharf for, I think, like two months or something. Nice. When she gets part of the package. So that was quite nice. One thing I didn't have to worry about paying for.
Yeah. But exciting part of your life. How did she cope with you being with you both being, again, new to being back home, no longer being in the Hong Kong heat and the buzz of that city.
Yeah.
But also you're now at a different level in terms of mental engagement, because I know what it's like working for someone, working for yourself. It's like a new light bulb turns on.
Yeah.
How did that dynamic work?
Between me and...
How did you manage that?
It's tough. I mean, you've got to have quite an understanding... I think she might have been the fiancé by then, but you've got to have a really good trusting, open, understanding relationship. And yeah, I was lucky. I don't know. Are you lucky? I don't know. Like if you're similar types of people, then it tends to work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
did you move back to where you live now, Lee? Is it straight there, or after the Canary Wharf?
No, yeah, we're in Canary Wharf, and then where did we go? we were looking at places in Hampstead actually.
Okay.
Is that right? No, sorry, we did go. We already had a place locally, in Lee, so we moved back there for a bit.
How was that going from Hong Kong back to Lee?
Different. Yeah, like I said earlier, we were absolutely happy in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
We'd created quite a nice little life there and had some amazing friends, and we're enjoying Asia. Yeah. So coming back to Leon Sea, as much as I love it, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I mean, like I say, lucky enough that Annie's super understanding and...
I know what it's like though. My wife, I met her when I was at the absolute pinnacle. So I was earning the most money, a top biller and all that. That's when I met her. It was like, she hit me at the moment where I was probably, it was at my peak, like the summer of the best year I ever did in recruitment. And she was like, who is this guy? Like, I was on holiday all the time. I was doing whatever I wanted. I lived down in Clapham. She used to travel to see me for weekends. Took her to Dubai for her 25th birthday. Yeah. Like, so 30th in January. And we did loads of cool stuff. And then all it went was like that. So I was like, right, I'm going into management. I need to learn that. I'm going to earn less money. Now I'm going to save to start a business. Now I'm going to start the business. Now I'm going to pay myself nothing for 9 months. Yeah. And she's seen me go right down and had some absolute rock bottom days.
Yeah.
But now hopefully we're climbing back up. But it takes a real supportive person to.
Yeah, it does. And she knows that I've got a drive and a desire to want to build something, and and outside of work as well to do certain things, and she's really like supportive of that. But the difficult thing is obviously making sure you're not compromising on the time that you have together.
It's difficult. It's really
hard.
it
is tough. But like we were saying earlier, like, I'm a big believer in trying to find that balance where you can. I mean, the reality is that it goes off way in the wrong direction sometimes. But massive. And it's just trying to make sure that whatever that is, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's just that you're working too much. It may be that you're not working enough. I don't know. Maybe you're spending too much time exercising, or too much time in the pub, or too much time doing something else that you enjoy. It's just trying to find some kind of balance, and just understanding that sometimes it's going to go off the scale sometimes, but not using it as an excuse. I think sometimes people use it as an excuse. I've not done this, I've not done that.
No,
I can't do that. I mean, it's all about prioritising at the end of the day.
I think when you're in a position where you own a business, there's no room for excuses.
No, I know.
There's just fucking not. Like you can't escape. Like everything is down to you. Like you're responsible for your family, you're responsible for your business, you're responsible for your health. You are accountable. You've made that call to be accountable for other people. You've got to be accountable for yourself.
100%.
So how did year 2 go? You move into year 2, you've got 7 or 8 people, you're making money now. Was it then you opened the next office pretty soon, or?
No, so that was in that. So this will be our second full year of operation in New York. So that would have been end of 2016.
Okay.
So end of 2017. So full year 2018, full year 2019. Do you know what? Like years leading into that, after year 1, year 2 and 3 kind of blend into themselves a little bit.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I remember mine by the office moves and stuff, and certain key moments or people. But it is like the 2 years from year 1 have gone so fast. Arguably been harder in a way.
What, sorry?
I think they've been harder for me because year 1 you have this natural, like almost exuberance of energy because it's like fucking hell.
Any positivity is just amazing.
You're swimming all day, and then year 2 and 3 is when you go, shit, how do we even get away with that? And now
also in year 1 you probably, in my situation, slightly different because we brought people in straight away, but we knew them, so it's kind of the same. But you haven't created the problems for yourself almost by trying to grow the business. You're just trying to create some success. I know exactly what you mean. But also it's quite tough, like years 2 and 3, I think, unless you've got a massive network of people that want to come and work specifically for your business. Then it's that balance of trying to attract people into something that's a startup or kind of scaling up or something that's exciting, and trying to get them to believe in what you're doing versus hiring the wrong people. Do you know what I mean? Like that's always a massive challenge. And we did plenty of that, as everybody does. But it's interesting you say that, actually. It gets you thinking about, because we've moved offices a few times.
Yeah. So did you use that office for the full year, the one in
we did, yeah. So that was on the cross section of where Liverpool Street meets Bishopsgate. So right in the city.
Love that
which
spot.
is great for us because we still work in mainly financial services. Albeit we took a decision when we set the business up that we were going to diversify away from just working with banks at the time, which proved to be an amazing decision on the basis of some of the
banks are so mature as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And historically, it was mainly investment banks that we worked with at the time. So a lot of the stuff that we do within banks now is retail, wealth, like these central centres of excellence.
Stuff.
Yeah. So we stayed in that office for probably about 18 months. And it was not in a good shape. So basically, Alan Sugar owned it, I think, and it had plans to be demolished and rebuilt. Right. So they spent no money on it, which meant that our friends that were in there were getting a good rate anyway, which is probably why I didn't mind us being in there. And it was not in a good shape. But it was absolutely fine. It didn't make any difference to us whatsoever. No. It was perfect being right in the centre of town. And we went from there, and we actually piggybacked them onto the next office when we started paying rent, because they went and fitted out a new office on Finsbury Square. So we went there.
What, the same people?
Yeah. And we were getting a bit bigger by that time, so that didn't really work so well. Yeah. Because we were starting to impose ourselves on them by this point.
Yeah, you had a culture and...
Yeah, exactly.
Were they recruiters as well?
No, they were an IT consulting firm. Right. So it wasn't... We managed to do a bit of cross business with them, which is good. But different. Like, we're by no means like a rowdy rabble, but it's a fairly relaxed bunch of recruiters, right? Yeah. Versus some guys that are a bit more, I don't know, conservative maybe.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So then we moved to the Minories, just off of Aldgate, just around the corner from where we are now, and stayed there for a year. And we were going to stay there. The intention wasn't to move again. Great location, obviously, for me coming into town.
Right in Fenchurch Street.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my old world. All my clients were insurance, Lloyd's of London. So
oh, really?
That's all I ever did for 5 years was walk around where your offices are. I absolutely loved it. You could play musical chairs because I could look there at one client, look there at the next. And sometimes in the same building, you have 3-4 clients.
Just sit in reception.
Yeah, you could meet 6 candidates in 3-4 hours and have like a quick coffee or a quick chat and get back to the office and crack on with your day. And it's like, there's not many markets. I mean, with the video, you can do that in any market. But back then, no one used video.
No. We, in fact, funny enough, insurance is a market that we're starting to do a bit more in.
Yeah. It's an amazing market.
Yeah, I mean, from a technology perspective, a lot of the companies that we're talking to, there just seems to be so much opportunity there.
Well, they were so far behind the banks. When I used to recruit into that space, everyone says it was like banking 10 years before. So we were talking about like Lloyd's of London insurance market. At the time I finished up in 2017, I placed a whole division on something called PPL, which was effectively electronic trading.
Yeah.
So it's like stop using paper and stamps. And this is a £1 billion industry, Lloyd's of specialty insurance market.
Yeah.
Insuring David Beckham's feet and the Titanic in the day and all of that. They still do it with a paper.
I know, it's unbelievable.
It's incredible. So we were placing like electronic system stuff, and it's like, and this is only like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So
I don't think it's changed much since then. To be fair. Although I think there's now some legislation coming in whereby they're being forced to do certain things. So
the insurtech's coming in as well, like fintech. So they're going to disrupt. But it's an industry full of older gentlemen, let's call it, who are earning a lot of money, spend a lot of time in the pubs in Leadenhall Market.
Still got their black books.
Oh yeah, and they don't want to change. They've got retirement coming, and then you get these young bucks, the underwriting assistants, broking assistants, who they love the lifestyle. They're in the pub every day. They're out at night. It's great. Why do they want to change? Because they're being taught by the old guard. Yeah. So it's a very interesting market to get yourself involved.
It is interesting, and we're doing some quite interesting work with some clients actually. A few little projects that we're working on.
It's a good spot around there. You're right in the heart of it.
Yeah.
So you moved into your own space, and then how did that impact the culture?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. It had a massive impact on us just having control of the environment that we were in, because it was our own enclosed space within a serviced office at the time. But so that would have been what year is that? Maybe year 3. And then WeWork came on the scene.
Right.
Or WeWork kind of exploded.
Did you get in early? Did you get into the WeWork revolution?
Yeah, we did. And like I went over, I heard about it, so I thought, I'll go check it out. I had a little look, and I was like, I quite like this. Like, it's quite a nice environment.
Oh yeah.
And there was at that time, which would have been like the end of 2016. It was quite new.
That's when I went, the Moorgate one.
Oh, did you?
There's an insurance consultancy, like an insurtech company, popped up in the Moorgate one in like literally November 2016, and it was one of the last deals I ever did with them. And I remember going in there and like thinking, "Wow, this is wicked." I didn't know it was a chain franchise. I just thought it was one office. Yeah. Now it's like everyone knows WeWork.
Yeah. And do you know what? One of the things I was considering at the time, obviously we'd only been in the current place for a year and I didn't really want to move again, but it was so close, it didn't really feel like moving, and there was so much upside with the environment.
Is it the one you're in now or a different one?
The one we're in now, yeah.
So I've been there,
Aldgate Tower. Which is quite cool because like at the top of Commercial Street,
wicked location.
It took me like 15 minutes to get here, and then right in the city, easy to go to Canary Wharf, so it works well. But like going in there at the time, one of my hesitations was, there's a table tennis table, there's the beers, is this too much of a distraction? Because I'd come from like an old school recruitment background, not necessarily like phone bashing per se, but certainly quite intense. Like you're in early, you do not go to the gym at lunchtime. Like you go and grab something, come back when you can. And then you work till you've covered all your roles. And then you're probably going out to meet some clients in the evening or whatever, and you do it again. But when we set the business up, we didn't want it to be like that. No. It was always very much about working hard, but not being constrained by like restricting people about having a decent balance. Like talking about balance
FaceTime. I mean, look, we've all been there. I was there, and in some ways it worked well. Like it pushed me to do things that I might not have done. Yeah. And it gave me a foundation to work regardless of what the environment's like. You and I have probably still got built in. So it's how do you build those ethics into people as well as give them this cool environment that's got a bit of flex. It's hard.
Yeah, and you've I wouldn't say it's embrace or die by any means, but there's certainly an element of being able to evolve as a business and being adapting and understanding what engages people and what's going to keep people interested. And but also, I do believe like if you've got a decent business, then you shouldn't just try and follow the crowd.
No.
Like just because people are giving people unlimited holiday or whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is.
No.
Like if you fundamentally believe in what you're doing and the business that you have, as long as you're making sure it's a good environment for people to be in, and you give people an opportunity to do things like go to the gym. Like we actively encourage the guys to go and do stuff like that, 'cause it's important to me. It's important to Wayne. It's important to like Alex, who leads the US office. I think he goes to the gym most lunchtimes where he can if he's not got meetings and stuff. And that does, for me, certainly, it gives you that headspace. Like it enables me to make sure I don't have my phone in my hand, and make sure obviously you're not taking phone calls or whatever, and you just go smash it out for half an hour or 45 minutes in a class or whatever it is.
We've got a gym downstairs here, so I was in there. I've got a PT Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and if I haven't got that, I'm crap. Like, when I've paid for it, I'm there. Like, I'm old school. Like, I've spent money on this. Yeah. If I don't pay, I'm like, no, do I need to? But, I feel if I don't get it out of the way in the morning, it's not happening.
I do find it. Yeah, me too. I'm either morning or lunchtime.
Yeah. After work now.
Yeah, my youngest is only 19, 20 months. I only started sleeping well. So before he came along, I was actually pretty good at going in the mornings.
Yeah, I bet.
So he's starting to sleep a bit now, so maybe I'll be able to start getting that going, which coincides with these dark nights drawing in, doesn't it? But
have you got a gym in WeWork or near WeWork?
No, there's not one in WeWork. There's facilities downstairs. They provide like towels and stuff. So I went for a run yesterday lunchtime. We just quickly run out. And all the stuff's there, which is nice. Yeah. It's convenient, but there's loads of gyms nearby.
So what do you think of WeWork?
It's good.
Having been there for a while.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not listening, so I don't worry too much. They're too busy worried about their share price or whatever.
Oh, God. I'm worried about whether they're going to pay a couple of our invoices. Yeah. We started working with them in New York, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And we did a huge amount of work with them over a very short period of time.
You were in there, placing people in there?
Yeah, but it's so big now. Yeah. These guys are working elsewhere. But, so Alex... the guy that runs the US office, he's had a really good relationship with someone that went in there to head up a big part of their technology build out. And unfortunately, it coincided with some of this IPO fail. Yeah, so or pre-IPO fail. So that's all been shelved for now. But we managed to get a few people in there, hopefully there won't be any problems.
But as a customer of theirs, you think it's been good? It's been value for money?
Yeah, it is good. I think I think it's reasonable value. I mean, you get a bit less space in the offices, but you're paying for the environment. Yeah. If you're a big company or a bigger company like us, you feel big when there's lots of like ones and twos in there. We don't make the most of that kind of community aspect. Yeah. Because we don't really need to. But I can imagine it's quite good if you're
when you're a startup. Yeah, my brother's in the Manchester one with his like 6-7 people in the office. He's got like 30 staff, but they're all remote. Yeah. And he said it's like amazing. Loves it.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, it works for us. So we were in one in New York as well.
Okay, so I think that was one of the things that when I spoke to your team, actually, they said because you've got 2 offices in WeWork, it gives you that, you can see that like it looks like you're in the same place when you go there or come back.
Yeah, it does a bit because there's a lot of similarities. Yeah. Some stuff's better than others. But it's a cool office in New York as well. When we first went over there, Tom, who was the first guy that came in, Tom Langley. So I've known Tom for probably about 10 years now. So hired Tom as a grad straight out of uni, back in the London days, and trained him up obviously and worked with him for a period of time. And then when I went off to Hong Kong, I knew he had a green card. Yeah. So he went and joined the company that I joined, but in New York. Right. And then when we set up in New York, he was the first person that came and joined, which is quite nice. And he lives in Chelsea, so we just took a space out in Chelsea when he first came in. And when Alex went over there, we decided to go over to Dumbo in Brooklyn, which is literally from Manhattan. You go over Brooklyn Bridge, and it's the first part of Brooklyn that you hit. So it's super easy to get into. Does
it feel like is it very different than Manhattan?
Yeah,
it's more like Shoreditch or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite. It's like a lot of people say Williamsburg's a bit like edgy and a bit like Shoreditch, which it is. Dumbo's probably. It's a bit like that, but it's a bit more chilled and a bit more. It's like one of these up and coming type places. It's nice. It's good. So that's worked really well for us.
So when did you decide you were going to the US?
Probably about a year before we went.
And why? Why did you do it?
Because a few reasons. We always, probably me more so than anyone, always had an appetite to go and build our business overseas because I've done it myself. Like obviously a bit of experience of doing it in Switzerland and in Asia. And even coming back to London felt like that a little bit. So for me, understanding the fundamentals of how you do that and having done it gives you the reassurance of knowing that you can do it. Because fundamentally, a lot of the time it's the same. Obviously, cultures are different. There's certain laws and legislations, but there's certain things that you do that are the same. And a lot of people do say to me, why not go back to Asia, like Hong Kong, Singapore. But at the time, like the US, it's such a big economy. It's so big, so huge. And there's so much opportunity there, without sounding too cheesy with the whole land of
American
opportunity
dream.
thing. Yeah,
but the sheer volume of recruitment agencies compared to what we've got here, apparently there's less agencies and the population's like however many times bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And also it doesn't matter where I've been, everywhere that I've worked and recruited, generally speaking, not true in every case, but there's always really good British recruiters there.
Yeah.
Because of how evolved the model is here and how mature it is and how saturated it is. Yeah. So did you not? How big was the business in the UK when you did it? When we took Tom on and Alex moved over there, we were probably about 15, right. I think.
So some would argue at that point, like double down here and get to 30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
So why add the complexity of the US? A 15-man agency. Yeah,
we saw that there was potentially more opportunity there, and if we didn't do it, then and run it in tandem, that we'd just be missing out on that. And again, a bit like I was saying earlier, when you get through that first and second year of setting the business up, we're almost through that second year in the US now. We got through that first year and it was extremely successful, really successful. Like Alex did an amazing job with Tom and a few people that came into the business at the time with the support of the wider team to really go after it and do really well. And that set us up really nicely for this year. Meant we could bring in some new people. I think we've got 8 over there now, and we've got 2 people that we've hired in the UK that are going to be moving over, and another 2 that we've hired locally.
One thing I would say, I mean, you might be moving on to that. It's quite an attractive proposition to hire talent here.
Yeah.
To say we have a New York office.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could be one reason in itself to say we actually have that international opportunities for staff.
Yeah.
Because there's loads of recruiters here or people here that would jump at a chance to work in.
Yeah. Do you know, I've between myself and Wayne, I was working really closely with Alex to help drive it, obviously because of my experience of setting it up. So I was quite involved with interviewing a lot of candidates or potential candidates locally and internationally.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that get hired here with the promise of moving over, and it just doesn't happen.
No.
And I don't think it's entirely fair to say that it was disingenuous of the company that were hiring them. I just don't think they thought it through.
Yeah.
Because it's expensive over there. Like if you're going to run a business over there, it's not cheap.
No. I was speaking to one of who was it? I think it was an event about going global. I think they said you've got to be prepared to spend about $2 million in year one, or spend $2 million to get up and running in the US. And it's like fucking hell. When you look at it like that,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
the rewards are bigger if you make it.
Yeah, I mean it's there's enough.
That sounds
noise
like a quote. That could be a quote. Couldn't it?
Yeah, you could do.
The rewards are bigger if you make it. Sean Anderson, 2019.
I'd say there's enough noise out there now that it's fairly well known that the salaries are higher, margins are good, better in like most cases, almost all cases, and there is a lot of opportunity there. But the reality
do they respond well to British technique? Because last week one of my guests, Pete, was saying how they went to Germany and the biggest challenge was that culturally Germans weren't responding very well to the way we win business. And they hired local people that then said, well, this is how we would do it. Yeah. And even if they didn't have recruitment experience, their local experience combined with the knowledge from the UK was a great mix. Yeah. And is it fair to say in the US it's way more similar to here and you can just crack on as you always have?
I think culturally we're more aligned anyway, so from the offset it's easier. Of course, I mean, we're very English obviously, but and Americans are generally quite direct. And that kind of plays into the way that they'll engage with you. I think there is an expectation that they do want a good level of engagement, but there's also they are direct and obviously no nonsense, and they'll tell you if they don't think you're doing a good job generally. And equally, they'd be happy just not to work with you again. So I think if you value the way you work and you can back yourself, then you'll get an opportunity, and then ultimately it's just down to you to deliver. But I think talent acquisition as a function over there is looked at slightly differently as well. Certainly on the agency side, it's seen as much more of a career path there.
Professional career
yeah,
path.
And that I think it's probably fair to say that's changed a bit here over recent years. But it's been like that for a long time over there. So they see it as a value add. So if you're calling up Mr. whoever at Morgan Stanley or wherever it may be, they know there's value in the service that you're going to provide. So it's nice.
But is that because they haven't had as many calls over the years?
Possibly, that must play into it. It must.
Supply and demand is always a factor, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Because you could be the 15th person who's rang a client here.
Yeah, like Mr. whoever that equivalent person
when
is.
I was
at Morgan
knocking on
Stanley
doors, I mean, I've mentioned this in a few podcasts, but my first job after uni was knocking on doors, and I was signing people up for direct debits with charities in South Yorkshire. Fucking hell, it's horrible.
That doesn't sound good.
It's fucking horrible. And I was good at it. I was pretty good at it. And then they had this thing called Road Trip Week. And it's a bit like what we're talking about. I'm not just going off a random tangent, right?
Yeah.
But effectively, they said, you're going to make so much money this week. We're going to go to Scotland, okay? We're going to go to the tip of Scotland to a place called Lossiemouth near Inverness, which is a RAF base. And we're going to get there and we're going to spend a week there and you're going to make more sales than you've ever made in the UK. In England, in South Yorkshire. I was like, all right, why? And they were like, well, basically, these guys don't get pitched. They just don't get pitched. So you're going onto an RAF base where no one ever knocks on their door. They're and they've all got dogs and kids and they're very emotional and blah, blah, blah. The truth was, we went there and we smashed it. Like, we did way more. But one of the main reasons was because we were in a hotel 2 minutes from the base, they also put us out on the street at like 7:30 in the morning, where normally we didn't hit the floor till 3 o'clock in England.
Yeah.
So we did like 15-hour days. But there was still something in it where you're like, these people the pitch that we do in Yorkshire when they're like, piss off, you've knocked on my door 2 weeks ago with a different charity on your bib.
Yeah.
Same guy. In there, they were like, oh my God, they were like crying at what you were talking about. And I always think back to that when I hear about the US, because I think surely it is just a case of when we swarm it, and we will swarm it.
Yeah.
There's a period until it gets saturated.
Yeah, there is. But I do feel as though sometimes there's a bit of a misconception. Like if you just turn up and you make money, that isn't the case, obviously. Like it's still hard. Yeah. Like it's still challenges, and it's still, because it's quite competitive, particularly if you're working with certain types of skill sets, something like, I don't know, machine learning, data science, or like that type of skill where it's in high demand. They get paid a lot of money, and the companies will structure good deals for those guys. So there's a high probability that they're going to get counter offered.
Of course, yeah.
Or they're going to have lots of offers on the table. So there's all sorts of things that
are PSLs the same over there?
Yeah, they are, but not quite the same. And like RPOs aren't anywhere near as mature over there like they are here.
So the agency model's they're more reliant on it.
Yeah.
If you like.
Yeah, I would say so.
I found Australia was different. If Australia was more, and again, I know I get quite a lot of Australian listeners, so correct me if I'm wrong, but back in 2012, when I was there, 2012, I found that I didn't even know recruitment here. So it was only when I got to England I realised, but I felt like the culture there was internal recruitment.
Yeah.
So it wasn't RPO and it wasn't agency. It was like build an internal team. And it was as if they didn't want to use you. Whereas in England, it was like, you know what, we're already using your 4 best competitors. So they understood the need for agencies here. It was way more ingrained.
Yeah.
But there was more innovative ways of skinning the cat.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, that maybe it's even further behind than that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, some of the stuff's over there is just absolutely bizarre. Like some of our clients still pay us in checks, which, I mean...
Is it still sign and swipe in New York?
No.
Have they got a chip and pin yet?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It was only like 2 years ago or something. I was there for Christmas. And
is that right?
And I was literally swiping my card and signing on this pad in every store. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. Hong Kong used to be like that. So you just sign for everything. It was a bit of a joke sometimes because you just draw like a smiley face and no one would say anything. So it's just like, it's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should remember that really. I'm over there frequently enough. I mean, I'm over there probably at least once a quarter.
How's that been did you go over there a lot when you started it? Were you there?
Yeah, fairly frequently. Like Wayne went over with Alex a couple of times. I went over with Alex a couple of times. And then out of the two of myself and Wayne, I've been much more involved in that.
So how do you split your roles as 2 owners?
Our roles are quite similar still. And I think we're getting to a point now with nudging 40 people that needs to start changing, and we've changed a lot of that. We've put certain things in place over the course of the last 12 months to change that, to enable some change. But generally speaking, I'd say he's probably more embedded into the London kind of sales team, whereas I'm still so, but more on the business ops side, looking at like working closely with ops, finance, marketing, and the US team. But it's not that clear distinction. Yeah. There's a fair bit of crossover. But yeah, like over the last 12 months, we've spent a reasonable amount of time like focusing on some key roles that we wanted to identify to bring into the business to enable us to give us that platform.
Yeah, because that was one thing I always talk about. Loads about is that kind of to get beyond 40, 50 staff. Yeah. Because I left the company at 55.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of.
What was it when you turned up? When you first got there?
7 or 8 or something like that.
Okay.
So we went through it, and it was amazing. We brought people in, we lost people, but the journey was unreal. I loved it.
Yeah.
But because the guys were hydrogen before, they were very organised to get like finance, HR, training. We had it all in place at like 35, and that I don't know the exact numbers now. I think they're like 70 or so, 80, but they've done well. But you could see their brains were thinking earlier than 40 that they needed to have things in place. Yeah. So what have you specifically done in that space to get that in the right order, you think?
Yeah, so what have we done? So we've got, there's two things. So one of them, there was a bit of a gap between myself and Wayne and the rest of the team in terms of management capability, experienced management capability. We've always been massive advocates of promoting within and giving people the opportunity to be able to take something on before looking externally. And we've done really well at that actually. So we've worked on that. So we've got 3 key people within the business in the London team that we've been working towards moving into management roles, which they're all in now. We've got a director that's joined. Yes, is it Tuesday today? Joined on Monday.
Wednesday. Yeah,
joined this week.
From an experienced person.
He's been in the industry for 20 odd years or so, which tells you his age. I'm sure he won't mind me saying. Yeah. But he's come from a competitor, I guess. Okay. Which for us is good. So elevating those 3 up into management roles and Ryan coming into his role enables us to start kind of stepping up a little bit, still staying hands-on. Like we want to stay involved, not kind of completely removed. But
so is he going to be looking at the operation side, like the sales operations? Or?
Yeah, he'll have a large portion of the team. Yeah, for sure. That team is what was taking up a lot of Wayne's time day to day, in particular, which is great. It's going to free up a lot of time for him. So we're excited about that, and he's going to help us in developing those 3 key people that I'm talking about into developing themselves as managers.
Are they all recruitment focused though?
Yeah.
So what about other pillars like back? I know you've got
so that's one side of it.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, we've got Jo, who joined about a year ago actually as an ops director, which is a role that didn't exist before.
Sure.
She's come in and affected loads of change. She's been awesome.
She's got such a high energy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. It's great. Love it.
We had a conversation via LinkedIn before she joined you guys. I don't know what about, but super. The sort of person who you'd want to throw in front of people to talk about your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bleeds it the way she comes across.
And like I feel it's easy for me to say, look, we've created this great thing and I believe in it, and we've got this platform to go and be successful. But it's really satisfying to know that other people are buying into that as well. So Jo's come in. She's been really good for me and Wayne actually, just in terms of helping us identify some other key roles in that kind of non-sales team. So we've got we've already got a finance manager that's doing really well. We've hired somebody into a pure marketing role, Hannah, who you met as well. Hannah's come in and affecting lots of change. I mean, for me, someone that's found it difficult to buy into like putting a marketing budget to the side and spending money on stuff like that, like because of some of the intangibles that we spoke about. It's she's been really patient. It's probably a good way to put it. Yeah, she's coming up with all these great ideas, and it's just trying to kind of process that to figure out where the value comes from. But I'm sure we've got lots more that we need to do, but it certainly feels as though we're going in the right direction with a lot of stuff we're doing. Yeah, so Jack's joined relatively recently as the head of talent acquisition. So for me, it's they're your
enablers.
Yeah, they're
what about
stakes in
your
the
training
ground.
L&D? Is that external or?
Yeah, external. Yeah. We've got we're using external training. Yeah.
Right.
So the people that I talked about earlier that are in that management level we're doing management training with those guys, and we're pulling in some of the guys that I just mentioned that aren't in the sales team, because we want to create a cohesive leadership team, not just within the sales team.
No, it can't. Do you know what? As well, I think. especially having done what I've done, where
Yeah.
I've gone from recruitment, where you know what, you go to the pub on a Friday and everyone's recruiters are pretty much like the back office didn't really come. They might have come to the odd one.
Yeah.
To creating a business with creatives, copywriters, account managers from marketing, recruiters, sales. Do you know what? It's just a nice blend. Like it's really nice to get different opinions, different cultures, different people's with different ideas of what fun looks like. So Jay behind the camera, I mention him every single episode. Jay, you're more famous than me these days. But Jay doesn't drink Islamic faith, so we always have to come up with, not just for Jay, but it's really important to me to make sure the business has. It's not just about going out and getting pissed, and we can have as much fun doing different things.
Yeah,
100%. So how have you found blending that team of?
So
sales
we're really
and
lucky.
non-sales?
So the guys that are in the non-sales team, like the business support team, are really well integrated into the rest of the business.
Great.
Like it's all open plan,
and it feels like they're part of it.
Yeah, 100%. Like they're definitely there when we go for drinks. And they're and we're trying to encourage collaboration as much as possible, like across consultants, across levels, across non-sales, sales, whatever, to get people working together. So we got really fortunate that we've created a really good culture of a great team of people that seem to enjoy working with each other as much as working for the business. So yeah, that's fortunate. And like you say, I like to go and have a drink, but I'm by no means consumer just going out drinking all the time. I love to keep fit and keep active, and we started doing like periodical company events. So if anybody wants to sign up, and we'll go and do a challenge, like we did 3 Peaks Challenge last year, which is awesome. I mean, from a selfish point of view, I love all of that. So it's great because it means I get to harness that while also spending time with the guys, and we get to do something together and a real kind of sense of achievement. We did London to Brighton cycle ride recently.
Wow.
But that's where my competitive side comes out. You know, like we're all like, we'll do it together. We'll all stay together, and then we set off, and it's like, this is all right. Like, you get to the bottom of one of these hills. There's quite a few hills actually going down there, and I'm like, I'm going. No, just left them behind. But and then reconvene at like the break stops or whatever. But it's great. I mean, like I said earlier, it's just trying to find some kind of balance. Yeah. It's back in the day, a lot of it was like a bit of a drinking culture 10 years ago. And that was fairly widely accepted culturally. But myself and Wayne and the rest of the people in the business is not the only thing. It's not the be all and end all at all. No, exactly. So what's
the vision now? Where are we heading?
Because
it sounds like you've had a really good 6 years. You've got 2 offices. You've got 40 people. You're on that like edge now.
It feels like it.
You could either carry on like this and plateau a bit, and there's a lot of recruitment companies that stick around 40, 50, or you could step into that realm of 1s, 200s, 300s. So what I imagine, just meeting you, that's the sort of vision you've got.
Yeah,
but
it is.
What is it? Have you got anything specifically that you can anchor it to? Yeah,
so we've got you talk a lot about growth and hiring people in new markets and new areas and stuff, but we definitely do feel as though we've got to a point now that we don't just have a good business, we've also got that support team to enable us to actually really kick on and do that. So that's good. I mean, that's really positive, and we're so positive about what lays in store over the next year and the year after that. And the vision is to continue to scale the business. We're doing quite a lot outside of just the traditional Orbis recruitment model. We've got like a few micro things that we're working on. Like we've been doing a lot of events, running our own events, getting speakers along, and Orbis Connect is what we've called it.
Is that for the industry?
Yeah. We've just, the most recent one we done was at Google's headquarters actually. So we do a lot in the GCP space.
Right.
Or an increasing amount anyway, and we set up a hackathon at Google's office. So we got someone to build something that a load of 25-year-olds ish came along, and about 40 of them, and had a go at hacking it, provided a prize. Ironically, I think we provided Amazon vouchers at a Google event, but so the next
Amazon Echo.
I think it.
I've got the Google Home. They wouldn't like that.
No, exactly. Yeah. But I've got the next one, as I said to you earlier. Actually, we're doing an IR35 one. Yeah. Not quite as sexy, but unbelievably topical at the moment.
So it's like Brexit. It's like the recruitment version of Brexit.
Yeah, I know. It hasn't quite got to Brexit levels yet, but it's not far away. And then we're doing another one after that, which is a bit of we're doing like a wars theme.
Is that all about? Is that a cost, like a lost leader to drive business back?
Yeah, basically.
It's not a revenue. You don't charge for the events.
No. We do it all, and we can use the WeWork facilities, or we'll do it on site with some of our clients, so they get the opportunity to use their brand, and maybe they'll get a speaker. But a lot of it is about elevating the brand, not just ours, but the personal brand of the individual recruiters that are working on it. That's important to us, and over the last 12 months we're investing in that a lot more. And it's like some people are more interested than others. Some people can see the value in doing some stuff online versus others, whereas others are just so consumed by just recruitment, just like being.
Well, do you know what? I can't even pretend I was a recruiter that was. Like, I've built a whole business around personal brand and content, but I never produced a single thing as a recruiter, ever. Yeah. I was so old school in the way that I'd meet everyone for beers, coffees, lunches, and do deals on my phone. And whereas it was only when I was looking at things like YouTube and Instagram in my personal life in the last few months of, in my last 6 months in recruitment, I was like, surely like the way people have got like influencers on Instagram, or they're getting like 1 million hits on their YouTube channels, surely that sort of presence and viewership and followership or whatever, that would work in recruitment. That would help, because we need it's all about your network. It's all about the attention you can drive. And now you hear pretty much personal brand on LinkedIn every day, right? Someone's talking about how recruiters should be doing this or whatever. So it's definitely catching on.
But I mean, but people can walk away with that as well, right? So we're giving them a platform to invest in that.
100%.
And obviously we need to make sure that we keep those people engaged. Otherwise they can just go and take that somewhere else. But which kind of comes back to having the offices overseas, because we want to retain people within the business, and I know how much I enjoyed it and how much it helped me grow and learn as a person, as much as it did give me the opportunity to learn in business. That we actively encourage people. Like, hopefully there'll be plenty of people that go to New York or to wherever else we end up opening up an office.
So is the vision can you give me any like sort of solid viewpoint into the future?
Yeah. So over the next year, we're planning to scale about 50% in London and about 100% in New York.
Wow.
In going into the next year, we're planning towards another office in the US. There's a couple of locations that we're looking at. We do a fair bit in Europe already, so that's going to form part of our strategic growth. And we're starting to do a bit more in Asia, because we're getting quite a lot of demand from clients. So there's certainly going to be geographical growth. There's going to be headcount growth, but we're very clear on not wanting to be consumed just by hiring people. Like, we spent a lot, obviously, like I said earlier, you hire the wrong people sometimes. We spent a lot of time trying to hire the right people and trying to help develop and evolve the people within the business, which we love. Like, we helping people to become like better versions of themselves within the business is amazing, right? And we really enjoy that. So the more that we can retain that talent and help that grow within the business as we scale it, then the better it is.
So it means everything,
and there's a few services that a few things that we're working on. I mentioned, I can't remember if it was on the mic or not, but a couple of things that we're working on in the background that is going to help us evolve our offering in terms of the way that we engage with clients and the services that we can offer.
Sounds like you'll be almost like a solutions partner, where you can go in and go recruitment, events, and a few other things to the same
absolutely.
client base.
I mean, we've been doing an increasing amount of senior appointments, exec level type stuff, but more on a contingency basis. So in order for us to evolve that a bit, we are going to set up a separate brand for that as well. Either a sub brand or something that's called something different, but it's associated. And just really, because the way we work, it is very engagement led and consultative and partnership driven, that we've got these relationships, and people will happily buy different services. So
people buy solutions that are different and cost savings.
Because it's a problem. Up until the point of you providing a solution, it's a problem. They don't. That's not their day job necessarily. It's just
especially in a world where the maturity of RPOs aren't there. You've got real scope, and because you can slice and dice it however way you want. Like, have you seen what the guys at Talentful have done? So Chris Abbas is going to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks.
Okay, cool.
Which I'm really excited about, because they've gone, I think it's since 2015, there are a couple of hundred people now, clients from Berlin. He's moving to San Fran to open the office. And
is he?
They've gone incredible. I used to work with one of their founding team. Amazing business. But what they've done is sliced and diced a couple of different models together and come up with a brand that everyone seems to know and really like.
We've worked with them actually as a
a supplier partner,
an intermediary, with some of our clients that we work with, which is.
But it is exciting what you can do if you have a bit of creativity to it.
Yeah.
And what about personally for you? How has being a recruitment owner changed your life after being a very successful recruitment manager or director? So what's different now?
What's different?
Apart from the fact you got kids.
Yeah, that's just less sleep. Do you know what? I've always been one of these people that's been really kind of diligent and respectful of the company that I've worked for. And I wouldn't say that I've necessarily been to the extent of working for that business as like it's my own, but not far off.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So
most people would think you start probably with that type of person.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And that probably gives you that kind of foundation. But you've just got a lot of responsibility, right? I mean, you can have responsibility as a manager working within a business, but ultimately someone else is above you and they've got ultimate responsibility and they have to make decisions. So having that ultimate responsibility is, I guess, the biggest challenge, but also at the same time, it's the thing that you thrive on because you've got that autonomy to make those. But you get, that's the reason you get all these good people around you to help you make the good decisions.
Have you created a board or an advisory
Yeah, we've
team?
got a board. We've got a non-exec. We've been using a non-exec from very early on, actually. It's a different one to what we had at the beginning, but
that's important, I think, though.
I think
certain
so.
people take you on a journey and then you can outgrow them, or they've got different skill sets.
It's just it enabled us to make sure we had a bit of structure up front, or fairly early on anyway. It wasn't straight away. And yeah, I mean, it gets you in a room once a month and it makes sure you're doing certain things. So yeah, but I mean, look, you don't always make the right decisions, do you? You know what it's like. But at the same time, that's the thrill, that's the fun, that's what we enjoy.
What do you think you've got wrong since you started it? Or what would be the biggest mistake since launching Orbis?
The first thing I always think of is definitely people related. And it's not so much hiring the wrong people, it's just keeping hold of them for too long. No. I would say probably more so in those early, like that second year maybe, where you're so consumed by like trying to work with new clients and fill the roles and grow the team and look for other people to hire that we'll just give him another week. We'll give him another month. He's a good guy. No, I'm sure he'll get it. And it just doesn't happen. You look back at it and you don't tend to make those decisions now because you can afford not to. But we put a lot of upfront effort in that side of things to make sure that you mitigate that. But ultimately, you can't always. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know really. Like we do a lot of internal workshops. So like if I go to the US, I might go and do like a bit of a, don't call it like a masterclass, but that sort of thing, workshop or whatever. And you look back at some of the decisions that you made, and we try to use case studies when we're doing it. It's not so much training because you want it to be interactive and two-way. And you give some examples of some of the clients you work with, and you just think, God, man, why did I bend over for that at the time? Like, I'm sure we could have got away with not doing that, but you just want to work with clients, and you want to do stuff, and you do stuff that you wouldn't do that maybe you shouldn't have to do, but you do at the time. Unfortunately, we elevated ourselves away from that, but we've been quite fortunate that there's not too many that stand out, really.
That's good. What advice would you give someone else? So whether they're new to the industry, new to being an owner and they've already took the plunge, or they're sat in an agency today, hopefully not your agency,
hopefully not.
and they're already thinking, right, January, me and my mate now are out and we're going to do it. What advice would you give them?
Do it. If you do want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
If you genuinely believe that you want to do it and you're doing it for the right reasons, then absolutely do it. I'd say having the experience of doing it with someone else, and me and Wayne being so well aligned and still being so, and sharing a lot of the same values. Obviously, it works really well for us. So it's easy for me to say, look, perhaps don't do it on your own.
I'm the same. I can't even imagine being on my own.
Yeah. But like I say, we're probably in a fortunate position whereby we've made the right decision. I think the only worst thing than doing it on your own is probably choosing the wrong person.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen before, not necessarily just within recruitment, but people that have asked me
it's like
before.
a marriage, isn't it? It's like it's a serious relationship.
Yeah, if not more so.
Yeah, because you're going to spend so much time.
Yeah.
And people grate on each other, but I mean, me and
you
Amma
could be divorcing with 50 kids rather than just 2.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Amma, we met at uni as been best mates ever since, and we have crossed words here and there, but not we just know how to balance each other out, and it just works.
But you know that you're disagreeing for the right reasons because you both got the right.
We've definitely got the same like work ethic. We've got the same values. We've got the same vision or collective vision. That I tend to drive a lot of ideas, but he'll usually let me know if it's a good idea or not. Because fucking hell, my mind can wander.
Yeah, it's that transcends to every level.
I've got grey hair for every idea I've come up with.
Oh, you can't have a lot of ideas.
You can't then.
But I would say I get that would be a big thing that I would say.
Think about the people
it's reciprocal
you've got.
Trust, right? You have to have trust, and you have to be honest with each other. I know it's obvious to say, but I've had friends that have gone into business and there might have been 2 or 3 of them, and they might have not known one of the people quite so well, and it hasn't quite worked out. So with the best intentions in the world, you just need to be super diligent.
Yeah. One final question for me then. How do you think the industry is going to change? Because we all know about AI and all sorts of robotics and people talking about automation. And look, I'm pro a lot of that because I think there's so much shit people do that can be automated, and we're already doing a lot of that with our clients. But how do you think it's going to evolve sort of 5 years, 10 years from now? What will recruitment be like?
I'm not sure. I think it's already changed a bit, certainly with big organisations, in terms of the way they engage recruiters. Like a lot of the companies that we work with and we want to work with will typically work with less suppliers, but they expect a much higher value service.
Right.
So what I think that does do is potentially open the door to offer different services. Because if you're able to elevate yourself amongst the competition to become one of those fewer suppliers, then you're probably pretty well positioned to be able to evolve that into something else, be it a talent pool type solution or evolving the events that you do, being creative with the way that you sell or what you're able to get them to commit to up front, embedding yourself in or out. So I think it's going to, with expectations going up, there's going to be an opportunity to be able to engage more and offer more services. From an AI like automation perspective, it's difficult to say. I mean, there's plenty of tools out there that can help people do their job better, but very rarely do you, like us today, like sitting here across from the table talking to each other, you just get so much more
100%.
From that human interaction. So
are you guys using video to enable?
We're not actually. We've been going backwards and forwards a little bit because Hannah and Jack, the marketing and talent guys, they're I think they seem quite keen for it, but I'm a bit less so.
Honestly, I was so pro meetings. Like Lloyd's of London is meetings every day.
Yeah. So that's like the optimum.
That was I spent my whole, and even I started my career in Melbourne in the Victorian government, and it was a square mile of government departments. So it's all I ever knew.
Yeah.
So when I started Hoxo and I was doing it all on a shoestring on my own money, I was still on trains all over the country and going to meetings, and it was tiring. And what I found, I can only talk about my own experience, but we forced video in about 12 months ago into the process to say, look, unless we have to meet you, we're going to do a video call. Mm-hmm. And it's not changed anything. Like, it's been brilliant, actually.
But has there been any upsides?
Yeah, loads. Okay.
In fact, time saving.
What I mean is, it's been no negative. It's anything. It's just, it's been we've been more productive, been faster. We can have a video call in 15 minutes and jump on another one. And then obviously I get more FaceTime with the team. Yeah. I get to be in the gym more. Yeah. Because the days where I was traveling, like I didn't see any of the team. Yeah. I'm doing everything remotely. Your diet's up the wall. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit more
hard.
Yeah, it is. Whereas, and you think about your clients now, they've all got big VC equipment. They've all got the office, the boardrooms. Like, as long as you've got a slick process where you can record the video, you can present on screen. Yeah. Like, it's not that much different, especially when you've got a US and English off business.
I enjoy it more though. So from a selfish perspective, of course, I love it. But yeah, we will. From that perspective, I do think you're going to have to embrace that in some capacity, particularly because we're doing a lot of international stuff.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
But if you still make the effort to go and see people, you might stand out even more in 5 years.
Absolutely.
So if you keep the old school methods, actually, you might end up winning. Yeah. People say now, like the odd cold call wins better because people are they're not doing it as much.
Yeah, true. And it's not like it was back in the day. Like when you're on the move, you are active, right? So whilst you might not have FaceTime with your own team, you're contactable. You can do emails. You can do whatever. You could, dare I say, put your trainers in your backpack and run. Find some time to find a shower and go for a run in between if you can. But that's where it comes down to. I think I might have said earlier. It's trying to just manage the busy aspects of life, right? And trying to find some kind of balance and trying to figure out what's important and fit it all in where you can. So
you, outside of work, you got young kids?
Yeah, 2 young kids. One's 18 months, one's 4, just started school. So yeah, trying to find a bit of balance with that as well. Like once a week, try and drop him off, pick him up from school.
Must give you motivation though.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It's difficult to really put it into context until you've actually had a kid. It's quite funny. Like you try not to be too preachy with friends, but when they have a child, like the first child, they'll come up to you and go, "Oh," and they start telling you all these things that you already know, and they go, "Yeah, I did tell you." It's amazing. It's unbelievable, and the satisfaction that you get from that is amazing. Helping them to grow a bit like a business in some respects.
Well, I haven't got any kids, but I showed you the dog.
You did show me the
dog.
Showed
you Henry the puppy.
Yeah.
Henry's gone down a storm on LinkedIn.
I bet he has.
Oh,
we've got a couple of dogs.
I think it was the biggest post we've ever done on
Was
LinkedIn.
it really?
From a Hoxo perspective, it was the
What
most.
was the dog doing?
It was just a post to say like, "Welcome to our new member of the team, Henry." He was stood on like the table, like posing on his first day in the office. But I mean, look,
He's a cute dog. To be
he's
fair.
great, and it is like he's a baby, right? So I'm waking up every morning at 5. I'm taking him out for like 3 times to the toilet before I even look after myself.
Yeah.
He's coming into work. I'm like keeping an eye on him all day. After work, I've got to play with him, and I'm like, I didn't know anything about dog ownership. I never had one growing up. Yeah. And now I'm doing what you're doing. I'm meeting all these like dog owners. People keep coming up to me and chatting about it, and I'm like, I'm in this world I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
It'll be even better, obviously, when having kids in the future. But we're a little bit away from that right now.
Yeah. Well, it's all about stages in life.
Oh yeah. Well, look, Craig, thanks so much. I've really enjoyed this episode, and I really appreciate you making the effort. I'd love to. We're going to keep an eye on what you're up to.
Cool.
I'd love to get you back on in the future. Let's see how this is progressing. Are you open for any of our listeners to reach out and ask questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because there should be a lot of people that would love to tap into your brain even further. We've only got an hour or so. So get hold of it. I'll tag you in all the content.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And that's it for another week, another episode. As I always say, guys, please do. If you're enjoying the rag, I do get a lot of messages on LinkedIn. I appreciate every single one of them. But please do, what I want you to do is share on LinkedIn. I want you to share that you're listening, share your opinions, what you think of the episodes. The reason is I just want more people to listen. We broke the 4,000 listener mark a month in the last 30 days this week, which I'm really proud of. And I want this to be the number 1 podcast in the recruitment industry. And I think that if we get more people listening, then we're all going to learn, we're all going to be stronger, and as an industry, we'll grow. Also, if you're listening on the Apple Podcast Store, get on there, give us a rating, give us your comments, and we'll get it promoted even further. Next week, I'll be back again. I've got another high-profile guest telling us about their story to grow a recruitment business. So have a good one. I'll see you then.